Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another kind of god profile video for the Voyager's Guide to Ravean, the Ravean kind of world setting. This time, we're getting close to the end, which is kind of nice. We're getting to the Queen of Decay. She's another homebrew goddess for the world of Ravean. The Queen of Decay is a neutral deity, most commonly depicted as a pale-skinned woman with stringy hair and a white dress resembling the gills of a mushroom. The Queen of Decay is an otherwise peaceful goddess with an almost misinformed sense of natural beauty. Just as beauty is in the eye of the beholder, the argument is less so that she doesn't understand traditional natural beauty, so much as she sees different things as more beautiful. The Queen of Decay values the benefit to nature that the natural process of death and decay affords. The beautiful flower in time must die for another flower to take its place, and this transition is the beauty that the Queen of Decay treasures. The arbiters of this change are valuable to her. Things like mushrooms and mold and scavengers of all kinds are valued overseers and agents of this transition from life to new life. The Queen of Decay does not typically see eye to eye with the Flower Maiden. Whereas the Flower Maiden most typically values the traditional beautiful life, the Queen of Decay appreciates the darker side. As these two goddesses struggle against each other, it's said that they create the natural cycle of life and death across the various seasons, even inadvertently. The Queen of Decay is not simply a goddess of death and decay for their own sake, but rather a goddess focused on the generation of new life, with a great focus on the idea that everything has its time, and when that time is up, it must transition to new beauty. The Queen of Decay attracts followers of all types, including those that follow her specific ideals very closely, and those that do not. Those that follow her ideals closely work hard to adhere to her tenets, whereas those that are more loosely focused on her ideals choose to invoke her name in time. The loose followers focus these efforts on being arbiters of this change from life to death, with many focused on promoting decay. The followers are in an almost problematic force to this goddess's public image. The Queen of Decay suffers from a poor public image, especially given this relative cult activity from the subgroup of her followers that seek to plunge the world into death and decay to start anew. So, if I were to delve a little bit deeper into this, the Queen of Decay, the Queen of Decay is not necessarily a bad goddess. She's actually a kind goddess. If you were to sit down and enjoy, a discussion with her, a conversation with her, she's an almost pleasant person to be around. She is as much of a goddess of nature as the Flower Maiden, but she understands and appreciates the relatively grotesque or traditionally grotesque aspects of nature itself. She is the goddess that understands that life ends and eventually life will start anew. And the facilitation of that new life has to be decay and the reabsorption of various nutrients to create another more beautiful life. And understanding that this traditional beauty is what most people want, she has taken appreciation of the life that tends to exist as this facility, the vultures of the world that at this point, I mean, in real life, have developed featherless heads and long featherless necks because they spend their time digging into the corpses of bloody corpses of animals. That is a mostly horrifying sight for most people. A bird covered in death and decay and rotting bloody meat and all of these other disgusting things, she would see as doing the good work and fitting in a niche within this role as this servant of being a facilitator to new life. That corpse can't exactly stay there as it is for all of eternity because that ruins everything else around it. So why not try to make it into something else? And that is a relatively grotesque process, from mold growth and horrifical poisonous mushrooms and all of these other things that help make life grow. That's what she's focused on, is yeah, no, these things are beautiful too, these flowers and all that, whatever. But these things are doing the work. These buzzards and mushrooms and everything are putting in the back-breaking work to make sure that this other stuff can exist. So while she does appreciate a flower, she appreciates that the other side of things is actually putting in the effort for making that flower be able to exist. And so that's why she's at some odds with the flower maiden. The flower maiden would, if she could, allow the flowers, the beautiful flowers and everything, to remain in perpetuity. But that's really not how life works and how nature works. Eventually that flower will die and wilt, and eventually it won't be beautiful anymore. And so the Queen of Decay wants to be able to recreate this beauty so that the flower maiden can continue to have flowers. And almost childish, the flower maiden doesn't see the purpose to that. She's like, leave them alone, they're beautiful flowers. And that doesn't necessarily mix well with this natural cycle, which is more of what the Queen of Decay is all about. Is she is a neutral deity, but she doesn't necessarily fit with the idea of how do I keep the natural world running. So that being said, part of the issue is that her followers don't always see eye to eye. Some of them are like, no, things do need to die. Things need to die and they need to decay. And so they do that. All they're focused on is the death and decay that she seems to embody. It's kind of the misinformed follower issue, is they don't really know what she's about, but they've decided that she's all about death and decay, so we might as well cause death and decay. And so that's what they do, is they just kill and leave things to rot. And they're like, I'm doing the goddess's work. Well, no, not necessarily, because the people that follow her actual tenets and understand what she's all about on a deeper level understand that really all that she's focused on is making compost so that new life can grow. And she's facilitating, and she wants to be this great facilitator for life. And so just killing something for the sake of creating decay isn't beneficial so much as the cultivation of that decay and the cultivation of the natural cycle to create new life. It's the difference between one man seeing a corpse that eventually grows into a flower and goes, that's nice, that's what it's all about, and the next man seeing the flower come up and pulling it out and going, no, you're not supposed to be here, this is the place of decay. That's the difference between those two following groups. And so part of the issue is that she has a really bad public image. She probably needs a much better PR team with that anything, because she has plenty of people that see her followers that just incite decay, and it makes you uncomfortable. And they're like, well, that's all that she's really about, is the decay. You know, but why would I worship someone who just wants to kill and create decay? So that's kind of how she tends to operate. Otherwise, that's it for the Queen of Decay. She's actually kind of a nice goddess, which is a refreshing change from some of the last few. But keep in mind, it doesn't take much to make a difference out there. So be the difference that you want to see. If you liked this video, leave a like, leave a comment as to what traditions a worshiper might follow to support the Queen of Decay on both sides, from the misinformed kind of cultists and the more devout worshippers that understand her actual work. What might be the differences between the two actual rituals that these people undergo so that they actually worship their goddess? Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in this next video. Bye.